Welcome to Made in Atlanta, a special series brought to you by Small Biz Club. Made in Atlanta focuses on those small business stories, how individuals have decided to go out on their own and start their own thing. I'm very excited today to have in studio Jacynta Harb. She is the founder of Sparkle Wellness and Fitness.
That is right.
So
Good job,
I have known you for a minute. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what Sparkle Wellness and Fitness does.
Well, I'm excited because I'm celebrating 10 years of being an entrepreneur. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. My business is about helping people mentally and emotionally feel better. And the main thing we focus on diet. A lot of people come to me for weight loss, but what they find out is that it's mindset. And so I help them build better habits. So That's what I would say. I'm a build better habit coach.
Okay, so you've been doing this for a minute.
Yes, a decade.
So talk to me about before you decided to go off on your own and do this.
Yes.
Like what was the thing? Like, why did you, not everyone just decides to go off and build their own little business?
No, because it can be a little scary.
A little scary. And to make it 10 years. Right?
I know, absolutely. You know, someone once told me, if you can make it 5, you've got it, girl. So I loved that. So with great risk, there's great reward. And I was disillusioned in my previous position. I was working in the wellness industry. And I could feel a tug pulling at me that my values were conflicting with the company I was working for. And then I decided, what if I started my own company? What would that be like? Of course, it scared me, but the good news is I had some help. I had some older brothers who were entrepreneurs in the family, and they said to me, why don't you open up your own company? What's keeping you from it? So that belief they had in me at that moment on that day was pretty special. I took that. That was a seed, I would say, that was planted, a thought in my head. And from that moment on, I started the wheels in motion, and I started planning Sparkle Wellness. And it took about 2 years for me to actually leave the other company and start the business.
So you didn't just jump immediately. So you still planned it for a couple of years, right? Before you did that.
So I took advice from, I went to a conference and I didn't get to talk to her, Sarah Blakely.
Okay.
All right. So she sat in the conference and told us that when she started Spanx, that she didn't quit her day job.
Right.
And she was selling door-to-door fax machines, I believe, and that she had this dream of, the Spanx company, but she stayed with that other company while she was formulating her dream. I do highly recommend that. Yeah. It helped me understand more about working at one job, but knowing that I want to do things different, but it still paid the bills as well. But,
and it's really smart there. And I think it may be Gary Vee, I may be wrong, but that talks about work your 9 to 5 and then work your second thing from 5 to 9.
Correct. Correct. That's exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was doing. Gary Vee was at that same conference here in Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, absolutely.
So not to dig too deep, but you knew that you were misaligned. In what way? How was you misaligned and you knew that you would do something different? And how did you know that would attract customers?
I felt like what the company I was with before, I felt like there was things missing for the client. I felt like there was a consumer out there that was missing some things that I couldn't offer in the company that I was with. I wasn't permitted to offer. And I just felt like there was a need. Yeah. And I think all great things happen because there's a need. And I wanted to help other people in a way that I could do it. So that's probably what happened there.
And so Sparkle.
Yes.
How did you come up with the name? I see your Instagram and I follow you and it makes full sense. But come on, tell us.
Sparkle, it was cool. The cool part was my husband Scott was actually helping me come up with the name that day. And it had to be something that represented me. Right. And helped other people. Sparkle means to cause to become lively.
Oh, nice.
When people aren't living their best lives, they're not feeling ready to go work out or to choose nutritious meals or transform their life. They're not lively. My job is to help them to cause to become lively.
Got it.
And so that's how I chose the name, and it served me very well. I do say.
We were talking before the session about all of our instructions on what you needed to wear and do and those kind of things. But it's been because it's a great branding way to kind of think about it.
It was better than I could have ever imagined. And I do want to know to the listeners that things will be better than you could ever imagine when you start your own company. And that is, to me, was the magic behind it. That I was abundantly blessed behind. Things are just even happening to this this very day.
Well, tell me a little bit about that, because I mean, there's a fear.
There's fear.
And it sounds like you have a family of people who aren't necessarily as fearful. And you'll find like even the closest person to you is more fearful for you than you are for yourself.
Right.
Like they almost talk you out of it because they want to protect you from it. And it's like, I'm going to do it. It's going to be a thing. So as you've gone through this, maybe give me two. So something that you were really worried about that, you had to overcome, and then something that was like just happened in a way that was completely unexpected.
So the thing that I was most worried about is, will anybody want to hire me?
Yeah.
Right? So here I am, a wellness coach, and I was like, who's going to hire me? And so it's building the clientele from scratch.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the day my first client happened, and she looked at me and she said, how much? And I didn't even have a price point. I said a number, and she wrote a check. And I went out to the car and called my husband. I'm like, I got a check. This is happening.
Were you like just advising her and talking to her? And then she just like,
Yes.
Nice.
And I told her I was going to launch a new business. And she's like, okay, how much? I like what you're saying. I want to hire you. And I'll never forget that day. I mean, telling you the story right now, I can tell you exactly where I was sitting, who she was, everything about it. And it just took that one spark, right? One spark will catch a whole fire.
Oh, nice.
Right? So I have been blessed with so many clients over the years. And my favorite thing is how the clients refer me out.
Okay.
I don't do much advertisement. Yeah. I mean, outside of my Instagram and social media as far as paid advertisement. And so the fact that the referral from my clients has been absolutely the most wonderful thing. And I think that most small businesses, which is what we're talking about, we're referral.
Yeah.
We're small businesses. We have a big heart for helping people. And I think that because the referrals were so big, that's what happened. And how I did that was I started what I called an ambassador team.
Okay.
I brought on people who were my successful clients. After a couple years, I started an ambassador team. These ladies go out on behalf of Sparkle Wellness and Fitness and advertise for me.
Nice.
With their word of mouth.
Nice.
With their own testimony.
Yeah.
And so I have 22 ladies on my team.
Wow. And like if you just get one of them to get you a person every so often, that's a pretty good multiple.
It's working to this very day. Yeah.
Well, and we were talking before about how you expanded the business. So you started off just wellness at first?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I started off just wellness first. So something called COVID, you remember that?
Nope.
Had
no problem at all doing that.
No problems.
We didn't lose half our revenue or anything.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened. So when that day happened, I was only running a live business.
Oh, wow.
So I was live in my office, in my tiny office, where no one was going to come to.
You couldn't get 6 feet apart.
No,
right?
you couldn't get 6 inches apart. So we definitely had to rally. And I remember that day, like a lot of people do. And I came home and I was like, we're going to have to go live. We're going to have to go on camera somehow, somewhere. I wasn't even ready for it. And I know back in the day, I should have been probably a little bit more ready, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It was then. So all of a sudden, Zoom is my new best friend.
Right.
And that's the platform that I chose. And within 2 weeks from the COVID, I was able to get back up on running. We didn't skip a beat. I had more clients come in, which was interesting for my company because it was a health and wellness crisis. It was a pandemic.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. What was really cool was I just became certified to be a personal trainer. I just passed my exam in January 31st, 2020.
Wow.
So I had all this knowledge and ready to go teach. So I opened up a second revenue stream called Sparkle Fitness. And to this morning at 6 o'clock a.m., I'm teaching ladies strength training.
Nice.
So for the past 4 years, we just celebrated Sparkle Fitness's birthdays this week. We birthed it in March. And so I've got another revenue stream. So that was awesome. And so the challenge was I wasn't ready for Zoom. Didn't have the social media, or I didn't have the tools, but turned it into a major comeback.
Yeah.
And it was just awesome. So
very nice. Yeah. And that's really the secret of being a small business owner or an entrepreneur is resilience. Like, how do you
bounce back,
get yourself to the other side? How do you sparkle through, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So good question. It was that team. You keep asking me what the magic of my business is. I feel like no one in this world, including yourself,
Right.
the great Eric Holtzclaw, is success without other people.
Yeah.
I mean, your sweet ladies who are just setting us up. I mean, they are running the show here.
Well, I was telling you, I don't do any. I just sit in the
know.
chair. It's like,
And you do a great job of that. All right. But your team is amazing.
Yeah.
From them greeting me at the door to getting my water bottle to getting us set up for success. It's all about the team. And I call it my success team.
yeah,
These ladies rallied quickly. So when everything went down, we all held each other up. So it's the team that's behind a small business. And you have to have a team of people helping you.
the interesting thing about that I talk about with small business owners or entrepreneurship is you start a business, then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, well, you must be an expert at all of these things. And you're like, wait a second, no, just because I said. And you have to know how and when to lean in to the expertise of other people, because that's the only way you're going to make it through. And that's a tough thing, because you have people looking at you like, well, you started a business. Like, don't you know how to do taxes and finances and do this and do that? And you're like, no, don't.
No, ask my husband. The first person he made me hire, my husband's an entrepreneur of 25 years, was the accountant.
Well, it's by far one of the easiest things to outsource. You'll probably spend the most time dealing with it, whatever. I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that.
My other shift was hiring my social media person.
Okay.
That was the hardest thing. As a small business, it's our heart and passion, and we pour in endless hours.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to give that up, because I thought, is that person going to know me?
Yeah.
It's my business.
Right.
But it was a time sucker, and it was really challenging with my family.
Yeah.
Because I'd leave work, come home and work, and it was constantly interrupting my life.
Yeah.
So I hired out, and that was awesome.
Amazing.
And she was able to take it to a level that I could never have done.
Yeah, because I focused just on that, and you've got so many other things that you're dealing with.
And this is their niche.
Yeah.
This is what they do.
100%. So those are kind of some lessons. Are there any other, like, let's say you're sitting across from yourself
Okay.
10 years ago,
Okay.
and you want to tell yourself this amazing thing is going to happen, or don't do that again. Like, is there a lesson along the way that you would want to tell yourself? You got a time machine.
I feel like I've learned a lot of lessons. And, I think that the main lesson is to constantly believe in yourself.
Yeah.
In that even though things are going to get tough and things are going to be great at times, that to constantly be in gratitude for all situations.
Yeah.
So I've kept gratitude as a running theme through my business. And I felt like that pool of gratitude has always kept me going forward, So that's been one of my lessons that I've learned, is to never take your foot off the gratitude.
Yeah.
And, and never think you've kind of made it. You got to keep working, I think, and keep evolving.
Right.
And not be afraid to keep changing things up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keeping the basics, but still adding in some extras.
Experimentation.
Sparkle it up. Yeah, experiment. You're not be afraid to experiment.
Right. Well, and with Sparkle, you would have to be a very if you're going to use that as your brand, you have to be a positive, anything's possible kind of person in that category.
That's probably the biggest thing when people are attracted to the business.
Yeah.
So the community.
Yeah.
The community that I've created has been the biggest thing that people are drawn to us for. People need sparkle. People need to feel like they're being cheerleading for, they're encouraging. And so I had a lady just this week hire me, Lynn, and she just said, I just need your community. I need your energy. I need your positivity.
Yeah.
And so our community is what shines. And part of that community is that those leaders behind the scenes coming alongside me and everybody else, making this one big happy place to be at.
Yeah. So is that so there's a lot of wellness and fitness and choices and things that I can do. And why do people choose Sparkle other than your amazing referral people?
I think everyone wants to belong to something that's meaningful. I mean, people have a true sense of belonging, and they want to belong to something. Belonging to an app, I don't think you feel real special to.
Yeah.
That you on an app you log in and put your calories or something. But when you come into Sparkle, we ignite your inner sparkle, and it is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah.
I've seen true transformations come out of just people stepping into this Sparkle room, coming on Zoom, and it's contagious.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's probably the biggest thing, is that they sense that I want to belong to something that I can be part of.
Yeah.
And see, touch, feel, all of that. We do a lot of stuff in the community.
Nice. And that, because in the category you're in, it could be viewed very easily as a drudgery. It's a not to know thing I got to do. So twisting it and making it positive, is a really important part of it.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. So I have about 7 core values for my company. They've never changed because they're just amazing core values. One of them is losing weight and keeping it off can and will be fun.
Yep.
So I've ingrained this fun factor into Sparkle, and people are attracted to that. You know what we just did?
What?
Line dancing.
I like it.
Oh my goodness, Sparkle went line dancing. It was amazing, right? I mean, so it's movement. Even Dr. Hyman put out just this week, dancing is great for your brain.
Right.
A lot of us had 2 left feet, but we had fun. We were moving, laughing. Connection is the big thing in my company, is connecting. People want to feel belonging and connection.
Yeah. The other thing I like that you're doing that I don't know if you know you're doing it is you talk about the company like as a person.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're just like Sparkle went line dancing, right? So and that's giving it a persona, like giving it its own thing makes you a steward of it in a different way.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So, we do themes every year. Did you know that?
No.
Okay, so I almost wore my shirt, but I didn't know if it was too much.
Oh.
So
I wouldn't have said it.
I know.
So,
I
yes.
know. But I remember I'm a team, so I'm a coach. So it's different than being a nutritionist or a dietitian. You're on my team.
Right.
And so rah, and I want you to play, and I want you to get in the game, and I want you to not sit in the sidelines. I want you to be in the headlines, right? So I do all that fun stuff. And so we have a theme each year that I tie into the whole company. And for 366 days this year, because we got the extra one, our theme is get after it.
Nice.
Right? Don't you love it?
I love it. Yeah.
So we've got the shirts, the hoodies, the tank tops, the hats, the jackets, and our team has been getting after it all year. And so that kind of makes this persona, I think, what you're
yeah, and
saying.
It gives everybody behind a comment is like the just do it of Nike or whatever. It's like
I wanted to use that, but
I wouldn't. That's probably cease and desist.
No, we weren't going to do that.
But the get after it, and get after it is positive. Like there's no way you could say that and think about it like get after it. Right? That would be. It's got to be something that kind of fits into that positive.
The whole family's using it.
Yeah, nice.
My daughter right now is getting after her homework. You know what I mean? It's been awesome, But I love the theme that we do, and that's one thing attached to keep us connected.
Yeah. Well, and so kind of as we end, you brought up family, and you talked about getting rid of the social media thing because that was interfering. So how do you balance, 3 lines of business along with your husband has multiple businesses and whatever, along with having family? Like what's your secret?
That's a great question. The part of the allure, friends, about being an entrepreneur is you get to create your own schedule. The flexibility is my favorite thing to do. I get to be my own boss.
Yeah.
And I plan everything. So just so happened at 12 noon today, my husband walked over from his office to my office. We have the same landlord, and took me to lunch.
Nice.
So we have Thursday date lunches every Thursday at 12 noon.
Very nice.
All right. So that's one way. It's scheduled in. He gets an email from my assistant that he has a lunch.
That is so important, though. Like, if it's on my calendar, I will do it. Like that's
He's important to me.
It.
He's the most important to me.
Yeah.
All right, so I have no problems now finding the balance now. Now, as an entrepreneur, I'm not going to lie, because the first few years you're pouring your heart and soul and energy into getting this launched off. And now I've got a really smooth machine, but my family has always taken precedent. The reason I started my company was I was in the car crying the one day. I came out of my position that I quit, and I found out that my daughter scored a soccer goal. And while you may think, Jacynta, so what? It's the only one she scored.
Oh, wow.
I never saw it.
Wow.
Because I was working on the weekends, and I was working a lot,
Yeah.
and for that other company. And I told myself that day, I'm not doing this again. I need to be able to schedule my family as a priority. So because I have a schedule, and because I have an amazing assistant who keeps everything running, like your ship here, which is amazing, everything is it's because it's all about planning and making it that time.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, and that important lesson, the first 18 months there's a lot. You got to do a lot. But then once you get past that, it should start to you should be in more control of it. Start to like make it work for you. So yeah. Well, congratulations on the success. And thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad I got your story onto this series. So yes, I've been talking with Jacynta Harb. She is with Sparkle Wellness and Fitness. You've been listening to a Made in Atlanta story brought to you by Small Business Club. Made in Atlanta is a series of stories about founders and small business owners and what it takes to make it.